want to let everyone in on a little secret. I absolutely hate being thanked for my service. Sounds a little funny. It does a couple of things. For me, it immediately sort of starts to make me think about the sacrifice that I made or did not make while serving in the military. You know, you can always think of someone who came home without a limb or someone who didn't come home at all, like my friend Lieutenant Andrew Stern, whose name I wear on my wrist, and I've worn this since 2004. It also, I think, sort of implies, or it feels like it's implying, that my time serving is done, which I don't necessarily think is true. Or it might just be a sign that I need to learn how to take a compliment and lighten up a little bit. So I kicked off my military career when I left home and went to West Point. I served as an officer in the Army for about five and a half years, did a couple deployments to Iraq as a platoon leader. Bringing my soldiers home alive is the greatest accomplishment I've ever had in my entire life, and I don't know that I'll ever top that. My time in the military, unfortunately, was cut short by the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, the law that didn't allow gays and lesbians to serve openly in the military, a law that's now repealed thanks to one of my personal heroes, Congressman Patrick Murphy. So I had lost my ability to serve in the military in uniform, to serve my country, but I didn't lose my desire to continue serving in my community. So I kicked off my career in the public sector, worked as an aide to the governor of New York before heading home to run for Congress myself. In case you were wondering, I didn't win. That's why I'm standing before you today. But you know, I came in a respectable, or some jerks might say distant, 4th place out of 14 candidates. Then I came to work at a nonprofit called Service Nation, helping mayors think about how they can use volunteers more strategically. Then I learned about service at the highest levels of our country as a White House fellow serving in the Obama administration. So I started to think that, you know, this desire to continue serving, this might be something that's unique to this all-volunteer force that we hear so much about, these veterans, these post-9/11 veterans. But, you know, I was also starting to realize that, you know, maybe I'm starting to overbelieve the hype. You know, I was sort of thinking like, well, maybe we are the greatest generation in the history of generations. You know, but I realized that's absolutely not true. You know, I was starting to, you know, that said, I do think that you would be hard-pressed to find today's veterans sort of sitting in a hall wearing funny hats telling war stories. You're more likely to find them using their combat skills serving in the wake of a disaster with Team Rubicon, pushing each other physically to live healthy lives with Team Red, White, and Blue, using their leadership skills to serve in their communities with The Mission Continues. But I was also volunteering in addition to the work that I was doing, and I was starting to get this sense that, you know, maybe this notion is not unique to those who've served in the military. I had led trips to New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, led trips to Haiti after their devastating earthquake. I had rode across the United States from the Outer Banks, North Carolina, to San Diego, California, to raise money for Habitat for Humanity and to build homes in 5 states. And it was during that trip that I realized there's an all-volunteer force that's working all across this country, whether you're in uniform or out of uniform, and they're doing amazing things. You've got that same esprit de corps that you find in the military. You'll find that for that Teach for America member who's standing at the front of a classroom in a tough urban school. That same pride in uniform that a soldier has when they wear their uniform, you find that with the City Year member who dons that bright red jacket that we all know. That same love of country is in the heart of an AmeriCorps member who's serving in their community right now. And so I believe these are all people who deserve to be thanked for their service. But rather than thanking them for their service, I want to encourage all of us in this room to think differently about how we engage them. Maybe we can engage them in meaningful service and find ways through the companies that we all work in. Many of you lead teams and manage people. Some of you run whole divisions of companies or entire newsrooms. Some of you in this room are CEOs of entire companies. So I think the challenge that we all need to take back from this day is to think about what are the ways that we can do good as a company, but also do good for the world. Can we volunteer as a team? Can we provide paid time off for those who want to go volunteer? Can we be greener or more sustainable? Can we find charities that we can give to as a company? And I think the companies that answer those questions positively are going to be incredibly happy to see the results that it has in their workforce, and ultimately will be better for the bottom line. So I want to end sort of where I began, and I just want to say that over the years I've learned how to be gracious about being thanked for my service, because I know it's coming from a good place, I simply say thank you back. But I want to let you know that I'm going to promise you that I will continue to serve. Thank you very much.